We're cutting into the action with a matchup between 2022's champions in the NWL division, Word Cups champion Jackson Smylie, and Scrabble Players Championship champion, a lot of champions coming around here, Michael Fagen. We're just going to jump right into the action here. Let's see. Oh, and there you go. Our first rack of the stream contains a blank for Jackson, and he has arranged a playable bingo pretty much instantly here. He's got his pick of a couple things, so we'll see. But a player at Jackson's level is going to be very excited to see that blank with a nice mix of vowels and consonants, and he is for sure going to be getting a bingo down to start the game. Michael, not quite as solid of letters, but he's going to be happy to see that S. So good morning, afternoon, wherever you may be on Twitch today. I need to, okay, we see, the vertical opening, which Jackson is known for. The raging debate. Oh, he's going to play toe line. So the reasoning for this over a play like Townies is simply that when in doubt, it's nice not to put that valuable S on the board. So the S, so useful to bingo to as a terminal letter. And you can see 76 points on the board for Jackson right there. So over to Michael now. Let me just make sure I can see you guys on Twitch. That's important. Can't wait to see all of you that are watching along. So tricky situation here for Michael, our reigning Scrabble Players champion. He's got that K, he's got the V, he's got the B, all high point tiles. He's going to be looking to use as many of them as possible. And you can see over on Jackson's side of things, pretty promising. He's lined up, and this speaks to the fact that both of these players are so good, champion level players, each in their own right. Jackson immediately lines up the pretty obscure bingo of A stomas through the O of toe line, but it looks like he's going to have to come up with something else as Michael plays a very nice overlapping play of bike. He gets rid of two of those aforementioned high point tiles, B, K, V. Not being able to use all three of them, using two is definitely as good as he can do there, I think. So we're going to have, I should note, a pretty nice roster of co-commentators. If you're watching and saying, man, we're just going to have to hear this guy talk on his own the entire time. Nope, we've got lots of good commentators coming up over the course of the event. Excited at some point to be joined by one of our top school Scrabble players, our top high school players, Emmett Brasowski, as well as one of our top international players, Nitz Chugti, Jared Capel also coming. So we've got really good commentators that will be joining us at some point very soon. All right. So back over to Jackson. It's never a good feeling to see a really nice bingo such as A stomas through the O of toe line gets blocked by a really solid overlapping play by Michael there of bike. Note also that he played bike when he could have played bake. Very, very similar plays. But in general, players at this level have a little bit of a fear, a well-founded fear, of leaving the letter I on your rack just because drawing a second one or even a third one is just so crippling. I think, even casual Scrabble players understand that about the letter I. So when in doubt, if you have a choice, it's often a good idea to use that I instead of the A. So nice job by Michael there. Looks like Jackson is getting set to potentially play malls through the blank L of toe line. And you can see he's got two S's. So when you have an S in Scrabble, it's a great tile, one of the best that you can draw. But if you have two of them, it's often a good idea not to consider them to be as precious, right? The S is helpful because it lets you pluralize words on the board. Having two of them doesn't make you any more able to pluralize words on the board than you were with just one. So grabbing a few extra points here with bikes by playing malls. This looks like a good option. I think Jackson's leaning towards that here. The other nice thing for him is that the toe lines hook is still right there available. So he'll have that second S, and if he draws a 7-letter word, he'll be able to play it hooking toe lines as well. But what he doesn't know is that Michael has an S of his own. So they're in a bit of a race here to see who can get that next bingo down. Jackson, obviously, with the first, but Michael not so far behind in this early going here. So let me just check in on Twitch, see what you guys are saying. I'm just now getting the chat up, so just want to say hi to everybody. Hey, it's 14 Domino, first chat message that I'm seeing here. And official Gidfather. Good to see you as well. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's going to be a nice long weekend of Scrabble. I got to take care of my vocal cords. I'm going to be talking a lot. Who knows whether I sing at karaoke? I mean, it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. So, all right, Jackson is reassessing. He might be going back and considering playing Adam. The location for Adam here would be just alongside bike, making the 3-letter word Oka. That's a word that's not your everyday. It's not your everyday word, but in tournament Scrabble, you'll see a word like Oka all the time because it's a 3-letter word that is formed from a pair of 2-letter words, right? So you have okay, you can put the A at the end of that, or you can play ka and put an O in front of that. Those are really, really useful 3-letter words. And Jackson is getting set to play Adams. It seemed like he was going to play malls there with bikes for a while, but he plays Adams instead. Interesting choice. I definitely trust Jackson's instinct, one of the strongest positional players out there. One of the nice things about Adams is that it just restricts some of the letters of toe line, right? If Michael had a bingo ready to be played through the I or the N of toe line, or even the E sometimes, this play of Adams does block that. Jackson is the one with the lead in this game, so it definitely behooves him to try to take away some of those opportunities. You will notice that alongside Adams, there's now a pretty dangerous lane for a 7-letter word to touch both double word scores there. One to the right of the O of Adams, and then the other one 7 squares down from that. That's actually not that easy to hit, though. The S in particular is very finicky with what letters you can put on that right side there. It's really just the I and the O. So a lot of 7-letter words are going to be cut off by that S at the end of Adams. And I think that is the primary reason why Jackson played that S there. You know, he had two. I was talking before about using the S being something you shouldn't be afraid to do when you've got multiple S's on your rack. But this one, I think Jackson used it for the positional benefits to deny Michael so many words that would play alongside Adams otherwise, or I should say alongside Adam without the S. Hello in the chat to T and Best, a lot of the other, and the Truth Main as well. We're going to have Emmett pop on the stream at some point to help me out with commentary. Good morning to everybody, or afternoon, wherever you may be. We are here in the morning time in Kingston, Ontario, from this year's, I guess you could say, the second annual. This is a relatively new event spun up by our organizers, Josh Greenway and Kieran O'Connor, two of the best in the biz, if not the best in the biz, at organizing these big, bad Scrabble events. So I'll be giving those guys their due throughout the broadcast. But yeah, last year our anchor here was Josh Sokol. He is a player in this event, so I would say the odds are good for Axer typo heads out there. You're going to see him on the stream at some point. I think it would be surprising. If there's even a remotely good matchup, we're going to try to get him on, I think, because he's fun to watch and he's a great player. Okay, what's Michael going to do here? He's got kind of a tricky situation. The board, this is a really good example of why a play like Adams is so good. It leaves so few scoring opportunities for so many different types of racks for Michael. At least Michael does have that S in hand, so he's going to be thinking, how can I use my V and one of my two L's and try to bingo as quickly as I can to get back in this game. So not a lot of really inspiring plays here for him. I can't really tell what he's about to play just by looking at how he's shuffling his tiles. But in a vacuum, a simple play like LEV, Lev, through the E of toe line is appealing, but the problem with that is he would then be obstructing his best place to tack an S onto the board with toe lines. So I think he's going to look to play something else. Maybe something like oval from the O of Adams seems like a reasonable option. So we'll just have to see. 14 Domino suggests oval. Good morning to Sockhampton. Nice to see you. Thanks, everybody, for hopping aboard. Hopefully, as we roll on today, we get lots and lots of you Scrabble fans out there watching and playing along with players like this. Again, these two players, Jackson and Michael, were the champions in the two most prestigious events of 2022 on North American soil. And that's the NWL division. That's our North American word list. But we will have action from the extremely impressive Collins division for you international players. That's going to be coming this afternoon and tomorrow morning, and probably a little bit of Monday morning too. So, all right, looks like he's getting set to play Delve for a small score. It does open some nice new lanes, but Jackson is going to definitely look to close those lanes down as soon as possible. And I also have to think that Jackson's very happy to see that S hook on toe lines close down at that right angle. That being said, Delve does take a bunch of hooks, so it's going to be difficult for Jackson to close everything down here. But I think in general, he's probably happy to see a play like that come down through the E. For only 11 points, he knows that Michael must be struggling with a tricky decision. But you can see Michael's got a good rack, a well-balanced rack. Oh, wow. Okay. Jackson going for it here. Vitulins. This is not a word in our Scrabble dictionary. What will Michael do? Is he going to challenge this word off the board, trust his word knowledge, or is Jackson going to get this bluff across? This is a big, big moment in the game. I think what I'm seeing from the body language there is that Michael held the play and Jackson asked for a courtesy draw. So all that means here is that Michael, I think, is considering whether or not he's going to challenge this word, and Jackson is redrawing his new letters just as a courtesy so that he can start thinking about his next play if Michael elects not to challenge. And this is a big moment. I guess we're going to see from Michael's body language. It looks like I think he may have told Jackson Oh, they're getting up. Okay. So you can see we added some points to Jackson's tally with those asterisks just to indicate that these points are not finalized yet. And you can see Michael sticking to his guns. He has challenged Vitulins, and it's going to come off the board. Good job by Michael not to let Jackson get a fast one over on him. So nicely done by Michael. That takes extra courage on Michael's part there because of the S of Vigilance. That was an S in the triple lane. That's really a dangerous spot. So Michael losing that challenge there would have been really rough, as it would have led to almost certainly a follow-up play to the S on the triple lane. So that was a big inflection point in this game. We'll see how things progress from here. But good job there by Michael. And I think it makes sense too from Jackson's perspective, just to see, that's a word that looks a lot like another word, Vitulin, Vitulin. It's also possible. Sorry, Vitulin. It's possible that Vitulin being an adjective. Maybe Michael knew that and said, no, I don't think there's a noun that looks like that. So it occurs to me for you guys in the chat, I'm not sure that I have set up the definition bot. That's something to do. If one of you guys out there that has a bot that helps us define words and wants to set that up, that would be a huge favor. So another tricky decision for Michael, though. You guys are pointing out, hello to Luckbox Lind, Mimo Samantha, Ancient Cosmographer. Hi, guys. Vasu. So, yeah, some of you guys are pointing out that there is I'm actually, where would it even play? I'm not sure. All right, so Michael plays a do. This looks like a nice way to overlap and score a good number of points. It scores 25 points. That's actually surprisingly large number of points. He also, a really, really clever aspect of this play is you can see that Weta is now on the board, and he knows that Jackson has an S, but also that he has all 1-point tiles. So there's really no risk making that big S hook with Wetas. It's not really nearly as dangerous as it would be if you knew your opponent had an S and also some really heavy hitting tile like a Z or a J. You would see that come down, pluralizing Wetas for a big, big score. But Jackson actually doesn't even have a play like that. He actually plays Lutines really quickly. 28 points there. That's a really good score. It blocks that E of Delve. And Michael uses his own bingo lane there of Lanners pretty much immediately. And that is his best bingo for 71 points. So action coming quick, and Michael actually vaulting into the lead. But I just wanted to say about Jackson's play of Lutines that I wonder, he's got a lead. I think it's fine for him to play Lutines there and block off the D, the E, the L of Delve. But it could have been very tempting to play his S with the Wetas hook and keep a few of those strong bingo tiles together if he wanted to. But I think it's a perfectly defensible choice from Jackson to play his highest scoring play of Lutines. And you can see Michael has drawn the second blank. So after that first bingo of toe line for Jackson, the momentum has shifted a bit. There's definitely some words available for Michael. The only question is, where do they fit? So we'll see. But still very close. After Jackson's next play, he's going to be back into the lead. I think Jackson is not panicking remember, these are two players that have been at the upper levels of Scrabble for a long time. Nobody's panicking after losing a challenge this early in the game or having their early lead evaporate into an even game. Jackson's cool as a cucumber. You can see Michael's pretty relaxed as well. Both players doing okay on time. Jackson's reaching 15 minutes. Michael's a few seconds lower, but both have plenty of time. We'll see, though. It's still relatively early in the game, so it's definitely possible that if one player or the other, for example, if Michael, you can see he set up rouleau on his rack. That is a valid word, and it plays with Delver. So this is kind of a big swing here, and Jackson just plays Gip. Looks pretty solid. Wondering if he considered just playing his Y. Oh, Rouleau plays here. Oh, look at that. Very, very fancy. So Rouleau plays in a pretty snazzy way with all these overlaps here. Nice. I didn't even see that until Michael played it. So nicely played, and that's a big swing now. So well spotted to Michael Fagen. And now Jackson's efforts to sort of close the board down are he's going to have to undo some of that if he wants to get back in the game. Anyway, I was just noting Jackson's choice of Gip over Yip in the same spot seems close, but he must have had a particular reason to keep the Y. It may have been that the Y is actually pretty useful here, parallel to Lanners, with either Moley or AY in a good spot where that A of Rouleau is. The Y would have been really heavy hitting there. So I think that's likely part of the reason that Jackson kept his Y on the previous turn. These little nuances are just crazy sometimes. The stuff that you can break plays down to, right? Like there's a very you have these rules that you follow in Scrabble. You want to score lots of points. You want to, get a bingo if you can. But all the little intricacies of how you get there, you're juggling so much stuff. And that's something I really love about the game. I certainly, when I'm doing commentary, I try to highlight as many of those nuances as I see. Unfortunately, there's probably many that go unnoticed that I don't notice. I need you guys to point them out in the chat anytime you see something interesting that you think I miss. You see some of our sponsors on the base of the board here. Let's Play Scrabble, of course, is sort of the organizing team behind this event. Might say almost like a event production company that our organizers Josh Greenway, Kieran O'Connor are responsible for many of the biggest events on North American soil, including the Word Cup from Albany, New York, coming later in the summer. Very excited for that. Of course, I am here in part as a representative of Scrabble Go. Always grateful for the support that Scrabble Go provides for our live streams here, as well as Tourism Kingston, a supporter of their local venue here at Kingston, Ontario, this tournament. Huge shout out to Tourism Kingston for their support here. As you can see, Jackson playing Hying. Very, very aggressive play at a deficit. He's played HYING. He's going for that last S to see if he can play Shying. I think, right? How many S's on the board? Yeah, 3. So there's one more. And Jackson's play there has just given that last S a huge importance. Michael is definitely going to be looking at that play and thinking to himself, oh man, does Jackson already have that final S? What can I do to block? That's a big deal here. You guys are pointing out the play of 80, EIGHTY, alongside Lutein's scoring not quite 80 points, but a lot. It would also have opened up the board quite a bit. Definitely think that play is more quote unquote traditional, but look at that. You can see Michael plays Cobb. I think he is definitely playing this. It's already the play of Cobb is already pretty solid, scoring 25 points. But with plays like myopic, I should say, through the Y of highing, whether Michael saw that or not, I'm not sure, but it's definitely possible that Michael saw a play like myopic and decided that Cobb is better because he's scared. Scared is the wrong word, but he's trying to respond to that threat of shying here, which of course we know that Jackson does not have. So that's part of the value of a play like highing. You're bluffing a little bit. We saw Jackson bluff earlier in the game with vigilance, which Michael correctly called off the board. But a play like highing is almost a bluff in a different way because you're trying to make your opponent, Michael, think you've got that last S. You better address this spot now. Of course, it can backfire sometimes if Michael has the S himself. But in this case, you see he didn't have it, and it looks like he may have sacrificed a little bit of points on the scoreboard to block. So Jackson here, his time dwindling a little bit. He just plays OE, keeping the leave of outer. That can definitely become a bingo a lot. It also is worth noting that that play of OE scores surprisingly well, 16 points. There actually aren't too many other plays for Jackson that do too much better than that. So Jackson's pinning his hopes on hitting a bingo, potentially hooking NU alongside Rouleau. Maybe he can hit the S or R of Lanners. And he could also hit a delve hook, right? He has the R. Something like, yeah, it's you guys are pointing out that yeah, in our international lexicon, he would potentially have a bingo playing with Delver. He'll have to be more patient here. So yeah, the age-old debate in our little subculture. We have two lexicons that are in widespread use. One in North America, and the other in the rest of the world. And I find myself playing both in equal measure. Most people, I wouldn't say equal measure. I would say mostly playing the international, but I like to mix it up a bit from time to time. Typically, people have one lexicon that they focus on, but to me, I feel like it's a lot of fun to watch really good players in either lexicon. So, hopefully you guys agree. I know there's a little bit of a barrier there if you're used to one lexicon over the other. Sometimes the words that you see played or don't see played can be surprising, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to try to help guide you through what are the players' options and what are they thinking, trying to pick between them. So, um, so from Michael's POV, he's got a lot of vowels. He's got the M and the P to score with, but no great place to score with them. In his shoes, I would definitely be trying to play something long to the C of Cobb if I could, ending in IC, but it doesn't really look like there's anything great in that spot. So I wonder what he will go for. Thank you to Ancient Cosmographer for recognizing my pain. I feel seen. I feel understood. All right. Interesting choice here by Michael. He plays Emporia. This is actually, I really like this play from him. What did I just say for Jackson, right? Jackson is hoping to either get a bingo hooking NU of Rouleau going down the board to play through the R or S of Lanners, or to play something down from Delve, hooking Delver or Delved or Delves. And Emporia blocks all of those threats in one move. And best of all, Emporia is already a plural. It doesn't take any hooks. It's the plural of Emporium. So this is an excellent play by Michael here. No question about it. It addresses all of the relevant threats to his position here, gives him a solid lead, and it's going to force Jackson to take another tack here. And it's worth noting that this play of heroic scores very well. It scores 45 points here. So that's quite a bit. And it could be that Jackson is trying to be patient, and he's already induced Michael to take a lower score on Cobb 2 turns ago. Emporia scored 20 something in the low 20s. So 2 turns in a row for Michael with low 20s. It could be a sign for Jackson that he wants to change course and see if he can outscore his way back into this game. He's not down by much on the scoreboard right now. You can see 22 point deficit. But one of those key tiles that Jackson would have loved to see show up on his own rack is on Michael's rack. Instead, that X, Michael has some good plays now with that X. I'm sure you guys are pointing them out in the chat. The only issue, though, with I guess the play that comes to my mind is just Xing off of the E of Emporia going down. Luckbox Lynn spotted it. That's 60 points. Hard to turn down 60 points. That's basically a bingo. Getting that 60-point play, however you can get it, whether it's using all of your letters to get the 50-point bonus. If you have really low point tiles, you can get 60 points that way, but you don't need to. So this is essentially a bingo score for Michael. The only drawback, of course, is that after a play like Emporia, you've closed down the board really successfully. But after a play like Xing, it's at least temporarily open. Of course, Michael is going to look to address that new opening as soon as he can. But for 60 points, absolutely correct. Correct play by Michael here to take those points and push that lead back up to not quite 100, something like in the 80s. So Jackson playing his next play immediately. You could see that he was getting a little bit low on time, but the play of Jurat and Joe in the lower left corner of the board is a very good one. It scores 50 again, so he's not too far behind. Jackson is definitely in position such that if he now able to get another bingo down, it's going to be bad news for Michael. But this is a big swing here. 14 Domino sees it. Acridity through the eye of Xing is going to be the hammer in this game. Doesn't look like Michael has seen it yet. That would be a big break for Jackson, who has drawn the Z, which goes down on top of the A of Emporia. You guys pointed out in the chat that Emporia definitely suggested that Michael did not have the Z, or else he probably would have tried to play it. It made a big spot for Za going multiple directions there. So if Michael somehow does not spot acridity through the eye, and every second that ticks down, you see, just in case you guys are curious, how do we know whose turn it is? Just look for the player whose clock is ticking down. Hopefully that makes it clear. So you can see Michael's clock ticking down now into the 7-minute range. Jackson has sped up his play a little bit as Michael continues to make really good, nuanced plays here. Really love that play of Emporia. And Xing, definitely correct. But Michael's got to be careful that he doesn't use up too much time. Jackson, with 10 minutes, that's still a nice bank of time left. But Jackson is also incredibly proficient when he needs to get that high gear going with low time. Jackson is an incredibly strong blitz Scrabble player, so he can go into that mode, and he may already be in that mode, right? He's made his last few plays really fast, and it looks like we are going to see a miss of acridity. That's going to be, oddly, if he's going to miss that, playing Yared through the A of Emporia is kind of a stroke of luck for him there. That was his best play apart from acridity, but that is obviously a very big difference there between the two plays. But the nice thing is that it blocks that big Z bomb, um, which was going to be going down there. So Jackson is going to have to come up with something different that doesn't score quite as well. He can play stuff with his Z alongside the Y of Yaird, but the tiles are, disappearing here. I think we can try to, if we want to spotlight Jackson's move here from his POV. Yeah, you can see that there's 14 tiles left. We're going to be trying to keep up to date with that. Huge shout out to Singaporean Grandmaster player To Weibin for this script that lets us stay pretty up to date on the remaining tiles. But the tiles are dwindling, and the space on the board is also dwindling. So a play like Zeta hooking to the Y of Yaird with Ya, normally that would look great here, but I worry a little bit from Jackson's POV that he needs a bingo at this point, and he needs to leave multiple options to get one. I think Jackson is going to be loath to play alongside the Y of Yaird because he really needs that lane to stay open along with the I, N, and E of Exene in the middle of the board. So I expect him to come up with something else, but the problem is what, right? It's going to be really tough to come up with something. He may have to just take those points and hope that maybe he can hope for, Michael to be saddled with the Q. Even then, the Q does play alongside the Eye of Exene for a few points. So this is a tough one for sure from Jackson. Curious what you guys think. So Truthmain predicting the play of Yaird. Amazing. That is impressive. This is the type of analysis that you guys are going to get to hear in rounds 5, 6, and 7. So once again, 3 games. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the play of ads for Jackson, I think, is as much as he's willing to do, right? He needs to try to leave the letters of Exene as unobstructed as possible. Ads does obstruct them, but not completely, right? It's not fatal to those threats down there. I don't know. That's a tough situation, though, because that is a big point sacrifice there, and it does block off the I and N pretty solidly there. The E is also obstructed by that play. So that's tough, right? From Jackson's POV, I honestly, I don't like that ads blocks off the I, N, and E of Exene, but at the same time, I can't really see what else he's supposed to do here. He's got to score something. You have to put something on the board that preserves some kind of chances for you to get another bingo down here. And ads does do that, even if it takes a few things away. And you can see here that Michael has feet lined up on his rack to go down parallel to Yaird for a lot of points, making putting that F in that lucrative spot. It would score 47 points for him here. But you can see Jackson will have bingos in 2 spots with either the play he really wants here is Nervate and Yi alongside the Y of Yaird. That's the play he would love to get down. If he doesn't get that down, it looks like he will. It looks like Michael is sort of saying, look, I have all these points available to me here. If we want to try cutting to the Michael POV just to see what he's looking at, that could be on Jackson's rack. Yeah, you can see not the greatest tiles. Q, V, W, definitely some threats. I would also be very concerned after Jackson's play of ads that among those remaining tiles that you see there, a lot of those good tiles, the A, the E, the N, the T, the R, those are likelier to be on Jackson's rack after a play like adds, right? Because if you had the V, the W, the Q, Jackson would be much likelier to try to play those on his previous turn. As you see, Michael is going to play feet in the lower part of the board, and Jackson now has a really tricky decision here. Does he bingo now? So he can play Nervate here for 88 points. That would bring the score to be exactly tied. But somehow Michael has avoided the Q. The last tile in the bag is the Q. So from Jackson's POV, I think eventually he is going to probably play his bingo now while he has it. Maybe not. I don't know. This would be crazy. Of course, unfortunately for Jackson here, either he plays Nervate and draws the Q and will simply lose the game, as he may only have one place to play it here, in fact, with the Eye of Exene. Or Jackson may try to play one tile by itself and try to create a very difficult situation for Michael. But even then, the Q being in the bag will not obviously help Jackson. He will surely not bingo once he plays one tile and draws the Q. So either way, Jackson is in trouble here, but it's much more interesting to think of, what should he do here? And in my opinion, he definitely should be doing this. I think Jackson will win the game after some draws where Michael has a Q that he can only play alongside Exene. I think there's definitely some, oh man, Michael had that worked out very fast. That's actually very, very impressive. So immediately after Nervate for Jackson, Michael plops that G down alongside the Eye of Exene, no hesitation. And that is definitely, I think, right? I just don't want to look over the board a little bit. Yeah, I think just playing that G there leaves Jackson with no options for his Q. He's assessing the board. You can see that play of Nervate, the score even at 402, if only for a second. I think Jackson had real chances to win there. I'm just looking to see what would have been his best tile to draw. I'm sure the S, right? You could probably, the S would have been good. I think the E would have also been pretty good to tack on to adds ADZE. That would have been pretty solid. I think Jackson definitely had tiles he could have drawn out of the bag that would have led to a win here. The Q, certainly not one of them. So you can see Jackson just passed. That's all you can do. He's got a Q that can't be played, right? So and you can see the aforementioned E hook on ads is going to go down here. All Michael has to do now is just identify the best places to play off one letter at a time. That is customary in these situations. When your opponent has a tile they cannot play, you actually do better on the scoreboard by playing your tiles slowly, as opposed to playing those normal looking plays that maybe use 3 or 4 letters and score 30 points. It ends up quite a bit more in most cases when you play your tiles off slowly in these situations. I think, and for that reason, unsurprisingly, you hear that referred to as slow playing. I do worry a little bit about Michael needs to be careful with that C, right? I guess he has a place to play it with cup, so he doesn't have to worry too much. But normally in these situations, you got to be careful that you don't stick yourself with unplayable tiles of your own, but that's not going to happen for him here. What do the last set of numbers in the brackets after their names mean? That is a good question. Thank you for asking that, Wat and Whack. That is basically the tiebreaker that we use in tournament Scrabble. It's your cumulative margin of victory. So you can see Jackson in his 3 games yesterday. Oh, did we just see? I think we saw. I'm actually seeing it slightly obstructed, but did he just try to play Catums or something? Yeah, he did. Oh, Michael giving us some good content there. Catums. We do have a cat cam after all. Nicely spotted there. Yeah, so that's by the letter of the law of Scrabble, there's nothing preventing you from playing anything you want here. Of course, there is some, kindness, right? You want to be kind, you want to be respectful to your opponent and not just throw down a ton of stuff. Michael is eventually going to play Adzes, and then he's going to finish up with Cup, I think. So yeah, we can Michael's pointing out stuff. Jackson being as good natured as possible about it. So yeah, anyway, to finish that question, the spread that you see there is that plus and minus number. It is the tiebreaker. When players have the same number of wins, the margin of victory determines your placement in the standings. So you're wanting to win as many games as you can and win them by as many points as you can. And that will help you to sort of keep your placement in the standings as high as it can be.